Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Time Is Now podcast. My name is Jody Albert Moss, and my guest today is Reverend Sheila Black. And we're going to try and do something a little bit different today. We're going to have an open mic. So we're going to talk about pretty well any topics that come up spiritually, energetically, metaphysically. So, Sheila, you want to just give us a quick introduction?
Sure. Thank you, Jody, for inviting me back for a second show. This is awesome. And hello to all the viewers out there. Like Jody said, I'm Reverend Sheila Black, ordained minister, full-time working medium, healer, teacher. And I also work with a lot of different things out of that box, shall we say. I work with lots of different energies, just like Jody does. And I think it's kind of cool that we can talk about all these different things, because I know Jody has taught a lot of people about dowsing, and I know I do dowsing, and Jody makes these fabulous dowsing L rods, which actually I got all my students. I guess I got my background on, so you can't see them unless it's right in the middle. But these are Jody's. He made them, and they're awesome. So it's funny because I use them for house clearings. You know, I go into the house. You can use a pendulum. You can use the rods. I know you've probably already heard all this stuff from Jody anyways, but I go into the house with the rods, and it's easier because it pinpoints, it points to where I need to go. So you can program your rods to, like this way is yes, this way is no, or this male and female, or whichever way you want to go. And I know Jody has probably already told you, all the audience, all about that. But the rods are great. I was being very silly in the backyard. I have some property in the back here, and I was running around with my son's dog with my glasses on my head as usual, and running around, and they fell off in the dark, and I couldn't find them in the bush back there. So I got my rods out. Where's my glasses? Please help me. And of course, they point right to them, and thank you very much. So that's one thing that spirit will work with, right? And I use my etheric weaver, which is also energy. It's kind of like a fancy pendulum. It has brass and copper and silver and a big huge crystal quartz in the middle. I use that for clearing energy with clients, because it basically, what it does is it helps me to pinpoint areas that need to be cleared, and then the actual weaver, it actually helps me to actually clear it. I really like using that tool. And then Jody and I, we hadn't talked to each other for a while, and Jody wrote his book, The Time Is Now, and I reached out because I wanted to get a signed copy from himself, the author, directly, and he just made his version of the his sweat lodge, which maybe you want to explain your lodge a little bit to the viewers if you haven't already.
Yeah, just one thing on the house clearing aspects of things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really advertise that. People find me, I guess, when the time is right. And
Sure.
honestly, recently there's been an increase. There's like 4 or 5 of them. So I don't know what's going on, but the energies are definitely shifting. So
For sure.
it is available, but yeah. Anyways, the Arcturian Star Lodge. A lot of people who follow me on social media have seen my post, but you can't really talk about a lot in 10 seconds or less.
Right.
So it was a 3-sided structure, and for heat, it was built for the purpose of sweating in there. And for heat, I use a wood stove because I'm not allowed to have any open fires, so I can't heat any rocks or anything. So, Creator says use what you have, but do it. Take a step. And Sheila, a lot of people talk and say, I haven't got this, I haven't got that. Just start and do it. Make it. So we made this structure, and we've done numerous sweats in there over the 3 years. I think it was together. And last year I was told it needed to change. So I built a 9-sided structure and still using the wood stove. I won't say too much about what's inside of it because I like that surprise factor, but it's different. And I still do it, So I believe, and Sheila can speak to this, there's something about the heat. I believe it helps thin the veil. We talk about the veil between the spirit world and our world. The hotter it gets for us, I know Sheila and I have done sweats together, and like the heat and the steam and the drumming and the singing, it's just incredible. Sheila, you know, you can add to
Yes,
that.
we've had some great experiences. Yeah. Yeah, so Jody will bring his Arcturian side of things, and I would bring in a bit of the indigenous, because I am what's called a sun dancer with Lakota in upstate New York, and I do a lot of traditional sweat lodges with the group in that area. And I was so happy when Jody made his Arcturian lodge, and it was during the pandemic, so we got to get together, and it was like we blended kind of my knowledge with Jody's knowledge, and we kind of blended them together and blended our energies together. And the result was extraordinary, because we'd be in there for maybe 4.5, 5 hours sometimes, and it felt like 5 minutes. But because, you know, then we start working with you know, chanting and drumming and all different singing bowls and just everything to raise the vibration, to raise the energy. It was fabulous to really connect. Then I introduced Jody to the Hathors, and that's a group of ninth dimension and higher beings that they work with Tom Kenyon, and their singing is fabulous. I saw Tom Kenyon probably about 5 years ago, and it's like all these maybe 15 different voices all come through him at the same time, and it's awesome. So I remember sharing that with Jody, and the next thing you know, Jody's kind of becoming that same kind of toning, almost like the Hathors when we're in the lodge together. And it really just brought us both to this extreme connection to, you can say spirit, but it's not just spirit, it's, you know, other realms, other universes. Like, I like how Tom Kenyon refers to not just one universe. You know, we'd be pretty naive to think that, you know, there's only one universe, or there's only one planet that has living creatures, beings, entities, or whatever. So we you know, we started working with other entities and welcoming the energies of other entities, and I found it really. I was able to channel a bit of some of the voices as well, but I found it very healing, extremely healing, for Jody and I to go in and have the energies of all the different beings that are working with us. It was just, it was, like I say, phenomenal. I loved it.
Yeah, there's a couple things. Like for me, it's I use the word reality, and I'm in the process of understanding, because we'd be exposed to these energies and then process afterwards. So if you can envision like just dinner plates, if you had maybe 7 or 8 or 9 dinner plates all hanging on strings at different heights, but roughly in the same area, that's what I'm starting to realize is the realities. And when we do our energy work, our ceremony, our ritual, whatever it is, we can thin the veil, and the doorways between those plates, between those realities, opens up. So it really, and if you watch social media, you don't know what's going on, if it's round or it's flat or what. So this is what's coming to me, is these realities that we just can walk between, you could say. And the other thing, Sheila, I wanted to mention, you know, when we were in the Arcturian Star Lodge, and I like to refer to it as Arcturian Star Lodge because it's totally different than what else is being done as far as I'm concerned. We would get a sense that the energies would come from the north. Remember that kind of direction?
Yes, yeah.
I really want to talk to some people that know about building structures, and things used to face the east because that's where the sun came up, right? Well, the sun is almost coming up now where those energies were coming in the Arcturian Star Lodge. So the new structure I have, the door is still in the east, but my fire is in the north. So
That's cool.
I don't know if it's evolving to work with these new energies and the different position of the sun.
That's very cool. Like I know we talked on a previous interview. What I do is mediumship, and it's working with spirit. But I do have other clients that come through, and the ones that are maybe open and willing to talk about, because there's all kinds of beings that work with us, that help us. Like I said earlier, it'd be kind of silly to think that we're the only life form in the whole multiverse, that there's other life forms. And I just feel like never to be in a fear either, to be full of love and awe, and to, you know, go back to your childhood and the wonderment, and just knowing that we're being guided into the new reality, right, Jody? Like, we're back into the old way is the old way. We're not going back, that's for sure.
Yeah, we're just reconnecting to the way things used to be. And, I'd like to tell people, if you get a book and you read something and you're gonna go and try it, if you don't understand it, don't do it.
Mhm.
Everything that I can speak for myself that I do, I receive through my intuition and through my own trial and error. I wouldn't I wouldn't share with anybody anything that I haven't done myself. So it's very important not just to be a blind follower in these new energies.
Mhm.
What you think is very effective and things are really happening fast. So be aware.
Right. And I'd like to even talk a little bit about physical mediumship. That's something that used to happen back in the day. And it kind of stopped because there was a lot of fraud going on. They were talking about the late 1800s. But that is something that I talk about energies and talk about the way of the future. I've been in several seances or, well, there's all different names for the various events, but again, it's not for everyone, but I absolutely love it. So you get to go and like with a trained medium, and you can have whether it's spirit or like your loved one, or it could be other realms coming through, but they're talking to you, they're showing you things, or they can bring what like an apport into the room. Something will just fall from the sky or from the ceiling, I mean, or you can have the medium will have things coming out of their mouths or their eyes, like it's being brought forward. Like this is like way beyond regular mediumship. Like it's like a mediumship times 5,000. I was also with a medicine man. I guess I shouldn't name his name here, but he's fantastic. And the things that happen in ceremony with him, you're in like a darkened room, but I've got his spirit people talking to me, touching me, handing me their shakers, and singing and dancing with me. Like this is like I say, it's really advanced mediumship. It's when it's physical mediumship, the energy that the medium has to work with and the spirit need. It's like it's amazing. I wish I could do a lot more. I wish there was a group closer that I could be with. So maybe I'm going to put it out there. Maybe it's going to happen. I hope it will. But there are some like there are fantastic things out there. I guess my point is, like if you have a limited mind, that's what you'll see. Like to be open and to be questioning and wanting to know more and experience more. There's so much out there in the world that a lot of people don't know about.
If you want to do magic, you have to believe magic in here. If you want to
Right.
perform miracles, you have to know in your mind that it's possible. Everything is the mind. And, mediumship, spirituality, miracles, we can all have the same basic training, learn, the foundational steps. And I tell people that's part of it. You have to apply it in your life. You have to choose to be that kind of person. That's why there's different degrees in everything. Some people can swim better than other people. Some people drive cars better than other people. And spiritual people are the same. The ones that commit their life to it, and it is a life commitment. And once you attain certain levels in the spiritual world, there's no going back. So be careful what you wish for. But it's the
Exactly.
true people that walk the talk. They're the ones that are doing all the miracles. And there are miracles out there.
Absolutely. It kind of makes me think of my son asking me one day, like, how long do you plan on doing this, Mom? I go, until I die. And then I'll be doing a lot different things on the other side. I'll be continue to working. I'm never going to give up. Like you say, you can't, it's like you can't unlearn it or you can't stop it. At least I can't. Like when you're like yourself, I know you're very compassionate what you do, Jody, too, but I am so compassionate and just passionate, not both. I'm passionate and compassionate, but just so excited about what the world has in store and all the different things that we can do. And it's all like, again about helping people. It's all about healing yourself, healing the planet, and doing whatever you can personally do to try to help other people. It's about service too. Like that's what I totally believe in. And there's just so much out there. And I suggest I tell people, I call it your spiritual toolbox. Like my toolbox is very full and it's very big, but I want to continue filling it up with all kinds of different tools and different things, different experiences. And it's really important for all of you to try new things and just expand your own growth, your own connection. It's so important.
And don't forget, we didn't learn it all here in this lifetime. It's not like everybody talks about past lives and all this future life. Well, it's all connected. You know, we're the knowledge that we're applying here. Most of us brought it with us. We didn't learn it in a class. We didn't, we do take classes and workshops. They're very powerful. But a lot of this stuff that's happening now, and these people are coming forward, they brought it with them into this lifetime. And I believe that the new energies that are affecting change in the earth are speeding up the vibration and frequency of healers, and they're awakening to who they are. They may not even understand it, but this is the time. We all came here for this time now.
I agree with you 100%. And I also feel it's so important for children to be exposed to, this way of thinking, because they're our future. They truly are our future. And like I said, the spiritualist churches that I belong to, that you usually have people over 50 years old or whatever, but we need to get the younger generation involved more, because the way the earth is changing. I don't want to get into the doom and gloom stuff, but we do really need to have the young people stepping it up, being trained and knowing what they can do with their own energy, their own healing, and expanding their own awareness. It's so important that the younger generation gets involved.
Totally agree. And I myself, even in my content, people can see my posts I've made, and I made a lot of them, over 20,000 posts last year. I try to stay away from the doom and gloom. We don't help anything. We don't help anyone by just bombarding everybody with what's going on.
Right.
Show them how to heal, give them the skill, and kindle that little fire within everybody, and be positive and encouraging and give people hope, and that will change the future.
Right. Get away from commercialism and, having to have, 500 pairs of shoes and 20 purses and all this other stuff. It just creates waste. Like, we don't need that. We need to go back into more simpler life, simpler times. I'm grateful for the food on my table and the house and family and things like that. But we really don't need so much stuff, right? I think that's so important too, to kind of go back to necessities and the simpler way of life, simpler way of thinking, and taking. Everything is so rushed these days, rush. And like you're watching 12 different social media things at once and whatever. It's important, in my opinion, to really step back a bit and take the time to really be in your body, to reflect, to take the time to meditate, take the time to connect. And again, just if we're doing so many things at once, like jack of all trades, master of none kind of thing, it's important to really focus on one thing at a time and find your passion. Work with something that you really truly love and something that you can really make a difference in. It's so important to find your passion and don't overwhelm yourself by trying to do everything and be everyone for the world. You can't be like that. It's important to look after your health and look after your sanity as well, right?
Totally agree. A couple of the changes I've made, and I'd like to say that, like, living a simple life doesn't mean doing without. It just means you're just a little more aware. And personally, in my own life, I used to have great penmanship when I was in high school and in the earlier grades. And I found myself, I couldn't even write with a pen anymore because everything's keyboards, right? So I've started rewriting with my pens and doing things manually. And if you work with your hands a little bit, take a craft on or baking or do something. I mean, convenience, all this speeding up everything isn't good for us. We need to be grounded. Yeah. We need to spend time outside. Nature is a huge part of ascension. People want to ascend. You have to get outside in the trees and on the grass, because that affects change in our energetic bodies and our DNA.
Absolutely.
Nature will help us on that path of ascension.
Absolutely. That's what I do, Jody, whenever I have, the overwhelming day with too many readings, too many sad clients or whatever, I go back into nature. I go ground myself in the forest. I don't care at this stage of my life who sees me hugging trees or talking to animals or talking to whomever. It doesn't matter to me, but that is really my important part. It's so important to be grounded and to connect with nature. Like you're saying, like gardening is such a great thing to do. Doesn't have to be anything too fancy, but just getting your hands in the soil and, and planting trees to help the ozone layer. Like there's to help the environment. There's so much we can do. It's a lot of little things that maybe I think a lot of people take for granted.
Totally agree. And I'm at the point too now where I'm going to do what I want to do, and I do it. If I want to walk around the city with a wand or a walking stick or a bird on my shoulder or a
Mhm.
bag of stones, you know what? I'm at that point now where I just do it, and I feel way better. I spent most of my life thinking I have to do what everybody else told me I had to do. You know, you get the
Mhm.
job, you get the house, all this stressful stuff that really doesn't work. So really give your head a shake, just stop and just be in the silence for a while, see what comes to you, and then to change your life accordingly. We all need to pay bills, so we understand that. But there's a
Mhm.
point where it becomes excessive.
Exactly. Like I know I find myself forcing myself to relax because I meditate every day. But when I meditate, I'm usually connecting to spirit to help my client or that kind of thing. But you got to really take the time to actually stop, which is, I'm like, you can probably tell I talk fast. I kind of run fast, fast, fast. But I do take the time to slow down, to breathe, to connect with your own, your higher self, to connect with your own spirit people, just to connect with Mother Earth energy. It's so important to just slow down.
Totally agree. Just stop, you know. Don't forget to breathe. You know,
Hmm.
there's lots. It's not like it was 40 years ago where we couldn't find a book on anything. There's so much information available.
Hmm. Right.
Breathing's very important. Diet is very important. And
Oh,
one thing that's
absolutely.
changing my life is I do intermittent fasting now. So I love it.
Hmm. I do too. I go on and off that as well. And I do lots of different cleanses and stuff because I just feel when I feel sluggish, like I know you get to know your own body, so you know what your own body needs. So when you start to feel sluggish, I like to do like a detox type cleanse for a few days, and because there's overindulgence in food too, right? You can eat too much, and and it kind of slows you down. But like that's on one side, and the other side is have that piece of cake if you want it. You know what I mean? Like everything in moderation. I'm not telling you to abstain from everything. To have the pleasures in the world that make you happy. That's important. Everything in moderation, though, right?
I agree. Moderation's everything. And
Yeah.
I usually go a little crazy on the weekends. But don't forget, we came here to experience this world. We didn't come here to go live in a cave and isolate ourselves.
Hmm.
We came here to experience this world, all its joys and wonders, but to do it responsibly. And that's the key. Be aware of it. Moderation, anything to any extreme isn't good.
Hmm.
So I try to live with the moderation key. And I'm older now. I'm 63, so I'll be 64 pretty soon. And I'm finding myself doing things that, I mean, I planted garlic last fall. I have all kinds of things on the go. And,
Hmm.
I don't believe, I mean, we have to get away from this. Okay, you're this age, this is what's going to happen. I don't
Hmm.
believe it. I'm seeing stories of people in their 90s and they're living like they're in their 30s. So mind
Right.
is everything, right, Sheila?
Absolutely. Mindset is 100% everything. My friend just turned 65 the other day and they're, oh no, I'm going to die kind of thing. Well, no, like you said, like I know a friend of mine who was 75 when he became ordained as a spiritualist minister. Like it's never too late. Like there's, at their 60s is a new 20s. Come on, there's lots of room for us to do, lots of things for us to explore. It is in your mind. I know our bodies have to keep up with us, but it's a matter of your outlook for
Totally
sure.
agree. Totally agree.
Yeah.
And it's okay to be different. It's okay to think differently. And it's
Hmm.
okay to have different ideas. That's what keeps us alive. Creativity, our imaginations, you know.
Exactly. It's nice to have different people too. It's funny, like a lot of my friends, present company, both of us included, like, we're both weird or whatever. In some people's minds, we could be a little bit weirder. But I think I'd like to have different friends and different experiences and people that know different things, and it opens up your horizons. And I think it makes me respect people and a lot more when you see different varieties of people. Like everyone has something to offer, right? Everyone has something.
I agree. I think I'm normal. I got a hooded cape in my closet, and I got an
Yeah,
8-foot pyramid in the basement, and I got a
yeah.
crazy lodge out in the back that's working with different energies. Yeah, it's about having fun and doing your own thing. We all need to be able to bring our what we all need to bring what we have to the table. That's what makes it beautiful. It's not all one way or another way. We need to share and grow,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
especially when it comes to spirituality and energetic work. It's my belief everything needs to change. If it stays in one spot, it goes stagnant. But we need to bring things to the table where we share equally, and not because someone told us we had to. We need to come with love in our hearts, sit around a round table, and grow.
Exactly. You know, I do like some traditions for sure. Like I'm a bit of a traditionalist on one side of me, but then again, yes, you have to. No, I feel I have to think out of the box, you know, and think differently, like you said. Just because we've done it this way for the last 100 years or the last 50 years or whatever, doesn't mean it has to be exactly that way the next 50 or 100 years. Like my belief for like the spiritual churches and everything else is as long as you're doing something to help somebody, like with the right intentions, it doesn't matter. Like, because there's some of the spiritual churches I work at are very old fashioned and only follow the exact rules that were like 200 years ago rules kind of thing. There's some of them are a little bit more modern. I do respect the traditional ones. I understand that. And I also would like the modern ones too, because then like they believe the same thing. I don't care if you're using tarot cards or crystals or whatever you're using, as long as the intention is for the highest, for helping people, for about healing, positivity. I really don't care what you do, what you use, as long as your intentions are pure.
Totally agree with that. Yes,
Yeah.
totally. And I'm a traditional guy. I like, uh, if anything, I'm a little too traditional because I follow things the way I was taught. And it was very hard for me to get outside of that and go, wow, I'm getting different information. I'm going to try something different. But
Mhm.
we need it all. We don't need just one thing. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Exactly. And everyone's different. Everyone has different likes and dislikes and different strengths and things like that. So I think actually the world has morphed quite a bit the last few years, even that we're accepting people for being different genders and different identities. And, I think we need to be more accepting of people overall. Like everyone is different, whatever their likes are, their differences are. Like I said earlier, everybody has something they can bring to the table to help, like every single person on the planet and probably other planets have things to share and to help other people. And we just need to be a little bit more open-minded, I think.
Totally agree. Well,
Yeah.
I guess we're getting ready to wind down, Sheila. Anything you want to add?
Uh, just it's been great to connect with you again, Jody, and I hope all your listeners enjoy this. And really, to all the listeners, try something new. Like I like to try something new every day, like something new, whether even it's learning a new word or reading something or taking a Zumba class or whatever it is. Just do something different. I try to add something different every day, something small, and also do something every day that gives you joy every day. Could be a nice cup of tea that you really like, or a glass of wine, or buy yourself flowers, or whatever it is, like something. Could be something small, but try to have joy every single day.
Totally agree.
Mhm.
Well, this has been Open Mic with Reverend Sheila Black. I hope to have her on soon again, and we
Thanks,
can
Jody.
do this again, covering more topics. I know there's a huge need just to talk about things. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to thank everyone, and I'd like to thank Sheila for joining us today. We hope you've enjoyed this kind of content and look forward to us making other podcasts. Okay, thank you all very much. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you all. Thanks, Jody.
Thanks, Sheila.